Chapter 1. Audrey's fingers trembled around the phone, pressed to her ear. The other was cupped over her lips. She was breathing too loudly. Her heartbeat was no quieter. He'd hear her. Audrey stared at the back of her bedroom door from her crouch beneath her vanity. She tugged the chair in front of it. Hopefully, she'd blend in. Hopefully, he couldn't see her. Hopefully, he didn't open that door.
911, what's your emergency?
Audrey jolted. The squeal of hinges. Did the door move?
Hello?
The operator said in her ear. Audrey rushed to click the volume down.
Is anyone there?
No, the door hadn't moved. It was a door a few rooms down. He was looking through each of them. Audrey's door locked. Her husband put that knob on 30-some years ago. It was an accident. He'd intended to buy a regular old bedroom doorknob, but he'd got that one instead. Audrey remembered telling him how silly it was to put a lock on their bedroom door. Today, however, she was grateful for it. Would he break the door down to get in?
Hello?
The operator repeated.
Ma'am? Sir?
Someone's in my house, Audrey whispered.
Ma'am, I need you to speak up. What's going on?
Someone's in my house, Audrey repeated, unsure if it came out any louder. She was lucky she'd been able to form words at all. I need help. Audrey jumped. Was it a robbery? Just leave, she thought. Take what you want and leave.
What's your address, ma'am?
Didn't they know that? On TV, the emergency operator always clicked a few buttons and then they knew exactly where the caller was, down to the room of the house.
Ma'am, I can't dispatch officers until I have your location.
The operator wasn't gentle, but quick and assertive. Audrey could have used an ounce of compassion.
What is your address?
Audrey told her, wincing at each step of his feet on the hardwoods, ending with, please, send help.
They're on their way, ma'am. Did you see the intruder? Can you describe him?
Yes, no, maybe. Were his footsteps getting closer or farther?
Ma'am, are you there?
He's a man, Audrey whispered. Average build?
What did he look like?
I don't know. Her eyes filled with tears, picturing that window shattering in the dining room. He'd been nothing more than a silhouette climbing through it. The lights were out. I don't know.
What about his clothes? Did you see what he was wearing?
Audrey watched the doorknob jiggle. She gulped in a breath and held it there. Walk away. Please, just walk away. It jiggled a few more times. A laugh sounded on the other side. Deep, masculine. Audrey froze in fear, unable to form words. She held the phone tighter to her ear. The door trembled. It cracked.
Ma'am, is he there?
Audrey stayed silent.
Ma'am, do you have anything to defend yourself with?
No, she didn't. She'd run from the living room to this spot, barely managing to lock the bedroom door behind her.
Ma'am?
The door collapsed. Audrey jerked backward. The phone slipped from her fingers. There he stood. A man dressed in black. Not an inch of skin visible. Only his eyes beneath the ski mask glimmered in the light of the moon outside the window. And the glow of her phone, now halfway across the floor.
Ma'am, is he there?
The operator pushed. The man walked to the phone, every stomp of his boots like thunder in the clouds. Audrey flinched with each one. When he made it to the phone, Audrey half expected him to lift it to his ears and utter a creepy message into the speaker. Instead, he stared down at it for a few heartbeats. Then he slammed his heel onto the screen. Over and over and over. Audrey was still holding her breath. She didn't know how she hadn't fainted yet. When the screen of her phone turned black, the room cut to absolute silence. He stayed still. Was he leaving? Now that he knew the authorities were on their way, was he leaving? He scanned the room. He squatted to look under the bed. He stood. He went back to surveying. I hear you. His voice was taunting, playful, come out, wherever you are. Audrey's heart pounded in her ears so fiercely they ached. He wasn't leaving. He stepped toward her, peeping into the closet. When he flicked on the light, tears burned down Audrey's cheeks. Each movement he made, she saw in slow motion. His fingers sliding down her clothes as he fished behind them, as though she'd hidden back there. His casual stance, as though he was a guest in this home. Could Audrey make it to the door? She'd have to walk past him. He was already on 2 feet while she was sitting. Her hips and knees didn't work like they used to, but even in her younger years, she wouldn't have had the time to move past him. It was true what they said. Audrey's life flashed behind her eyes. She saw it all in a blink. Being a little girl and running at recess from the little boy who'd one day be her husband, never fast enough to beat him. Falling for the love of her life in high school, the first man who made her feel safe. Vowing to spend the rest of their lives together until death did them part. Death had done them part. Audrey had been a widow for 6 years now. She'd always said she wanted to go first, and he'd beat her in that race too. If she ran from the door now, she'd lose that race. She cursed her husband for dying first. The intruder turned, leaving the light on. He stalked toward the bed. He crouched. His mouth was mostly covered by the ski mask, but Audrey swore she saw a twisted smirk.
There you are.
Take whatever you want, Audrey blurted, falling out as more of a sob. I won't press charges. She was certain that he was smiling. He only continued to for a moment, watching her quiver with terror. With stealth, his gloved fingers reached beneath the desk. He grasped a fistful of her hair and hauled her to her feet. She flailed and kicked, screaming at the top of her lungs until he grasped both of her arms.
Why are you crying?
He asked.
You said to take what I want.